he's talking about teachers. He's talking about that every church, in every church, the role of the teacher was very important. The church members had a great respect for their teachers. And we're talking about the time that James lived and the time that James wrote this book. So it seems that many church members back in the time wanted to be teachers. Some of them may have wanted to be teachers for the wrong reasons. Some of them may thought it would be for prestige. Some may thought it may be for, well, who knows, just a personal deal. They wanted other people to think well of them. They wanted them to enjoy the power of the job because they were so highly looked upon. Most of them did not qualify for that task. They did not have the natural skills. You know, we all have talents, gifts. Some of us can sing. Some of us can teach. Some of us can, preach. Some of us can. Well, everybody has a talent that God gives you, and everybody has different talents. But if you try to do the talent that God didn't give you, you're not going to be successful. So these people may have wanted to be teachers, but God had not given them a talent to teach. Teachers must take care to teach the truth and not their own ideas. They must teach what God gives them to teach. They are responsible for the way in which the church grows. They have the power that they can so easily use wrongly. And you know what? There shouldn't be a large number of teachers. Only a few people should be able to teach. They must know that God has called them for this work. God expects a higher standard for teachers than those who do not teach. He will be more strict when He judges them. Now listen to what I'm saying. When we all stand before Him, if you're a teacher, then you're going to be judged to a higher standard than the other people who stand before God. Because they have the task of teaching other Christians how to live. They will receive a greater judgment if they fail to do what they have taught. In other words, not only do they have to teach, and this is heavy here, not only do they have to teach, but they have to live as they teach. So that's a heavy burden for us. That's a heavy burden if you're a teacher. But the first verses 1 through 5 is mainly where he's dealing with the teachers here. These verses should not stop those who God has called to teach. James himself was a teacher. He warns that it is a responsibility and a task to teach in the church. And no one should take on this work unless God has called him. Now look at verse number 2. For in many things we offend all. If any man offend not in word, the same is a perfect man, and able also to bridle the whole body. We have all said wrong things. Every day you might say something wrong to somebody. If you were to examine what you say, we would see this. We all slip up. We all make mistakes. We say bad things to people. We don't mean to do it. But you know, it's just the sin nature in us. We all sin. If it is as if bad words just come out of our mouths. We just say it. We don't even think about it sometimes. There's no man in this world who does not sin in something. And in this letter of James chapter 3, James uses the word tongue to mean words that we say, not the physical little thing that we got in someone could have control over all that he or she says, that one would be a perfect person, but it's not going to happen. The tongue is the hardest of all parts of the body to control. You know, sometimes you can control what you think. Sometimes you can control what you do. But before you know it, you said something that makes somebody mad or insults somebody or brings them down. Like I say, I'm talking to myself today. So it is out of the heart, which includes the mind, that the mouth speaks. It's from inside of us that bad action and evil words come out. If someone does not sin in what he says, then he or he would not sin in other ways either. If a person can't control his tongue, it would follow that he or she has the power over the, if they could control their tongue, rather, they would have power over the rest of their body, his whole life. That one would be a perfect person. And we all know there wasn't but one perfect person that walked this earth. And that is Jesus Christ. So it's impossible. Look at verse 3. Behold, we put bits in horses' mouths that they may obey us, and we turn about their whole body. We want to show in this verse the three pictures. You know, keep the pictures in your mind. In this verse, and then also in the verses to come that we're talking about here. We got the horse. Everybody knows what a horse is. And in verses 4 and in 5 and 6, in verse 4 we're going to talk about ships, about a ship. And in verses 5 and 6 we're going to look at fire. And we're going to see what all these have to do with the unbridled tongue. That's what I call this, the unbridled tongue. Excuse me. Don't want to clear my throat and your ear there. These all teach us of the great danger in the use of the wrong words. If you got a bridle, if you're riding a horse and you put a bridle on the horse and you pull back on that bridle, what's going to happen? That horse is going to slow down or stop. If you turn it right, the horse is going to go. If you turn it left, the horse is going to go left. That bridle keeps that horse under control. Everybody knows what a bridle is, right? It's a bit, and the bit fits in the horse's mouth, and it gives the rider the power to control that horse. What is true about a horse, or what a horse is true about me. A man or a woman who can control what he or she says can control his whole being. If the tongue is not under control, the whole of his life will go the wrong way. The aim of this example about the horse is to show that the small part can have control over a large body.